Hello and welcome to a Geek First Sidequest mini/bonus episode. I'm your host, the Talking Flower, Dylan Miles, and I have with me the Bubble Boy, Travis, here to break down some Super Mario Bros. Wonder, this new direct, 15 minutes of footage going on here. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. We're on the precipice of hour and a half. As long as downloads go well, Starfield's here, so that's very exciting. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited that the Metacritic score is relatively like 87. I think that's a really good one. And I feel like not lots, but just the few cons I've had or heard is more like kind of up to the user. Like it's like how much does this bug you or not bug you, right? So
Right.
I think those ones I like is you and me could easily have some of those same cons, but I like that better than just like, oh, this is just really bad in this aspect. It's like, oh no, it's kind of a bit more down the hill. So I'm looking very forward to getting in there, character creating, getting some ships. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's kind of why we're doing this as a mini bonus episode, because next week's episode, which we don't know exactly the date yet, because me and Travis are going to try and really maximize our time with Starfield, but we are going to have kind of the first impressions, but I'm going to have a lot of hours, so I think it should be pretty thorough. That's going to be next week's episode of Sidequest. We want that to be all about Starfield. We don't want to waste our time talking about Mario and friends during that. So we're going to do this here, and then honestly, the week after will probably another full Starfield episode, and then I'm sure it'll be talked about for weeks and weeks. Kind of the way Elden Ring, we're constantly checking in for like a couple months on SideQuest. I'm sure that's going to be very much the same thing here. But yeah, as you said, that's going live in a bit. That's also why we're recording a bit early today, because we're like, let's get this not out of the way, but let's do this nice and early. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. Well, actually, sorry, one thing before that. The draft. We talked about this on news last night. I was kind of caught off guard. But yeah, let's do a very, very quick draft update here, because I need to pick my next game. And it's the perfect time. I mean, I'm just going to pick Mario Wonder as my replacement game on the list.
Damn,
So,
I don't even know why I didn't even think about that. I kind of forgot about Wonder. There's so much, but that's
honestly,
a good pick,
I didn't think I was going to until this direct. And I'm like, okay, I think this is going to be a bit more of a special Mario game than just like a run-of-the-mill new 2D entry. But let's do a quick check-in on the draft. Because Travis, unfortunately, I think you're kind of out of the first place race at this point. But here's how it's looking. Kirkland's up there in first place now. He has all his games out. I think we did talk about this on SideQuest briefly, but yeah, between his 5 games, he's got 426 points. Baldur's Gate 3 was the last one to go on his list. You are in second right now, Travis, with 324, and you replaced with Mortal Kombat 1, which is coming out in just a few weeks here. But
So
unfortunately, it would need to get 103 for you to take over Kirkland. So I don't think it's going to happen at this point. But you're looking pretty good at keeping that second place. Any thoughts
Maybe
on
what
that?
I gotta hope for is before we do the next draft, I gotta make sure we recheck all these games, and if any of these scores
true.
have dipped just
Yes.
slightly, I can maybe get some. But no, I don't think that's still me saying Mortal Kombat's gonna be 100, and I don't think it's gonna be 100. So good on him. Like I said, Redfall, man, that really, if even Redfall was a 70, we'd be talking, because all I'd need is like in the 80 range. So it'd be a really good race. But yeah, that team really let me down. That'll make me a little more worrisome to pick them. But it was a good race. So
I actually do think there's a good chance Taylor could get up there to first place. Right now he's in last because he only has 2 games released, Street Fighter 6 and Pikmin 4, but those are at 92 and 87 respectively on Metacritic there. And then he has Spider-Man 2 to come, Forza Motorsport. I have a 6 here. I think it's just called Forza Motorsport, not a number. And then Assassin's Creed Mirage. So, I mean, because even if you look at Kirkland, if you look at Kirkland's games, like it's Baldur's Gate 3 is the 96. Everything else, the next highest thing is an 87, all the way down to 78 is the range there. So his numbers aren't actually that amazing outside of Baldur's Gate. I'm putting the 90 caliber for the amazing things. And so I think Taylor has a good chance here. And all his things, I'm 90% certain are going to come out at this point.
and at least 80 above, I would say. I think even maybe Assassin's Creed has a chance of dipping below to like a 78, but I think Forza and Spider-Man 2. And if you look at the picks, take out all the games, if it was a 2-game thing, obviously Kirkland 96 versus 92, so he got 4 points there, but the next is 87. So they're literally with the 2 games 4 points apart. Now it's just what the rest do. So yeah, Taylor does have some good ones coming up, but you're not too shabby as well. Except I don't know with Hollow Knight, does that have a date yet?
So that's the thing that might just honestly screw me this year is I just looked it up again, and it's like technically Hollow Knight has still not been delayed out of this year. It was supposed to come out 2023, and then I think they did confirm that it's going to be like second half of 2023, but then there's just been nothing since then.
Quiet,
I don't think it's going to come out this year, but I also don't think by the rules I should be allowed to repick it yet because it has not officially been delayed. So
Mm-hmm.
that honestly might just screw me because in this draft, if you are missing one game and someone else has 5, then you're probably just gonna lose anyway. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm taking Hellblade off my list because that has been officially kicked. I'm gonna put Super Mario Bros. Wonder in there, which I think is gonna be at least a mid-high 80s. Maybe it's a stellar game and climbs up there. But right now, Starfield was on my list, so now I have 88 for that. You said 87.
Nice.
I don't know if it's dropped since then or if it just, or maybe you're just
What do you got
misremembering
for
the number.
PC?
But it's
No, I had
possible, 'cause
87
it's
when I checked. When
Okay,
did
yeah,
I
it's the
have
day.
it?
So I mean, it's probably going to change a lot, especially right now. Then I had Final Fantasy and Resident Evil 4. So I have pretty high average right now, but obviously if Hollow Knight doesn't come out, I'm kind of screwed. And I don't think I'll give myself the chance to repick again just because it's kind of too late at this point. So we'll see how it goes. But right now I'm technically in third, and you're showing me a number that is so
87.
small.
There you go.
Okay,
So it's
dropped
dropped
to
by
87.
1. But you can just leave it there because it's going to take some time to settle down too. It's
I'll
just
leave
day
it like
1,
that.
but
There you go. So there's the little video game draft update. But let's get into the main topic here. So
Yes.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We were both already day 1 on this, but how did this affect your hype level? Did it rise it up? Did it drop it somehow, or are you kind of just still right in the same space we were before?
one, I'm not going to fix it now. My camera's terribly off kilter. It looks like I'm very on an angle.
Oh,
right now,
you're
but that's
getting
okay.
tilted. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, tilted. But yeah, no, this was, as I said before, I own all these games as far as especially like the side scrolling. Obviously now it's like a 3D. I know it's like it was a 2D back in the day, but this type of genre of Mario, I own them all. This is where I started, so these are always fun. And the past few ones, as I've said before, they had entries where it was, hey, you and a partner can play, and that made it even better because around, I think that really started close to around the time me and Emily were dating, and luckily she was in the game, so it's like, okay, perfect storm. And now same thing with this is a day 1 because they had a whole sections about that the players that you can do, and we'll get into it, that up to 4, which you could do in the past, but this even looks like they've, especially I feel specifically have made 2 characters specifically for children. Like, and we'll get into it. And I think that's not like, that's the best thing because they got to know that other people are different ages. People want to get in this franchise. Mario was the biggest movie of the year. So it's like people are getting into that haven't before. So everything I've seen though, game wise, looks great. I love all the, it sticks up to what it said initially pitched where, oh, you get this Wonder Flower and things are really crazy. And I do feel like this is at times, many Mario games have felt like it, but this truly at times feels like it's on acid. Not just like the type of new items you can get, but just what that actual Wonder Flower does. This looks ton of fun. The badges, this really looks like, I know people went, okay, how are you going to, because I feel like we had this conversation about many movies or games, or even we talk about this MCU of like, okay, you hit a certain point, what do you do? And that's where it's like, once you did Mario Maker, it's like, okay, what do you do next? This is like, okay, we're going to introduce a whole bunch of stuff you could never do in Mario. And maybe this won't be everyone's cup of tea. Maybe they won't like all these add-ons, but for me, I think it's great because those games still exist. You can still go back and play them. This is evolving and doing something completely new. And luckily, all the stuff, even if anything felt gimmicky, it looked like, oh, this looks like a fun gimmicky. Like this looks like even the point where I want to be doing this on the 24-hour stream with us 4, like having some of these maps. And that's where it's like, of course, 24-hour stream, you always bust out a game, maybe like, oh yeah, let's play Mario. But this looked like an act of like, oh, this could be really fun with all 4 of us, and just the shenanigans that this Wonder power possesses. Had some great stuff online. So I thought this was a great showing. And yeah, I was already anticipating the game. It's a day 1 purchase. It's not a day 1 play because of Spider-Man, but I will be playing it a bunch with the family. And yeah, it's I think they didn't even need to do all this. They could have just put out a new Mario game with some new maps, a couple characters, and it would sell well and probably review well too. This, I think Mario, luckily, kind of like what they did with Ultimate and some other games these past few years, have gone above and beyond. So yeah, this is looking real good in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought this was a really great showing for it because when it did get announced, I was like, okay, this looks cool and all, but like I don't know if this elephant thing and this talking flower, like I don't know if these are things that are selling me, making me think this is gonna be a next level Mario game. It was more just that my partner's really into it. It'd be a fun co-op experience, and we're gonna go halfers on it. So I was like, okay, I can't go wrong for $40 Mario experience. I'm gonna pick this up anyway. But yeah, this definitely increased my hype levels by a good few numbers there. I think this was a really, really good showing. There was a lot more in there than I was expecting. Some good goofy stuff, some potential like depth too. It seems like they're really giving you a lot of options in that way. So this definitely increased my hype levels by quite a bit. I'm very excited to pick this up now. Definitely. I mean, it was already kind of a day 1, but it's like for sure, definitely a day 1 at this point now. And after watching this, I'm like, okay, now I'm curious where this is going to rank in my top 10 at the end of the year, because before I was like, okay, I'll pick this up. I'm probably going to enjoy it. I don't know if it's going to be a top 10 level thing, but I'm probably going to like it enough. But I feel like this is, it seems like it's going to be something special. And to your point too of, okay, yeah, what do you do post Mario Maker? That's such a hard thing to follow up. And I think it was a great idea to do Mario Maker, do the sequel for that, and then just kind of lay low for a few years. And they did a couple spin-offs thing. They did like Super Mario 35. I don't even know, couldn't even name you another like 2D Mario thing they've done since then, but maybe a couple like other smaller spin-offs. I think it was good. Like, okay, we can really generate a lot of new ideas in that time. And when we do come out with a new game, it will be wonderful, to use the name pun there. So let's go through it one by one. This was something that they didn't really show a whole lot of, but they're kind of setting up the story for it, which is a weird take considering that Mario is not really something that's very story forward. But they showed off Bowser and he's like merging with this castle. I just love the color palette of that, the look of him. He's kind of, it's very like green, kind of purple and black, and like that trio of colors. I'm really digging it, especially later on in the direct. They show Bowser Jr. like a boss fight against him, and he has that color palette, and I think he looks so sick. And I'm like, man, I want that color palette in Smash when I'm playing as Bowser Jr. in there. So yeah, I don't know if there's too much to break down on that, but I kind of like that they're just, here's something slightly different with Bowser. Boss fights are going to be similar to what you've seen before, but he has kind of a cool new look and this sort of gimmick, and the story wise of it, I think they did good enough there for what they need to.
Yeah, it's a good story hook. He's after the Wonder Flower. They're merging with castles and machines. Cool, I'm all down for that. I think at least it's like video games always do a gimmick kind of follow up, and at least it's a gimmick that kind of looks fun and cool. So yeah, I thought that was all cool. Obviously, it's not giving me much story, but I hope that this provides a really good final boss battle with Bowser as well. Because same thing, and we talk about the Mario games. Yeah, how many times has Mario fought Bowser? Like that's a tough task now to be like, hey, you got to do a final battle with Bowser. It's like, man, that is how many decades worth of video games. What do you do now? And at least this looks like it'll be something a little fun. So thumbs up for me there.
The one thing that I don't even want to say negative on it, but I'm just so bewildered by it, is this choice to include this talking flower, which at first it's like, okay, here's this flower in the world, and when you run by it, it's going to give you a hint. Like that doesn't, on paper that sounds fine, but when I hear this flower's voice and some of the things he's saying, I'm like, I do not like this at all. This is weird. I don't like this voice that they're doing. Is almost like a children's show, like Blue's Clues sort of thing, narrator. But I don't know. He's just saying some weird stuff, like, I wonder what Goombas taste like, and you shared that water with me. Whoa! Like, just it's really weird stuff that I'm not good weird, just bizarre, and like I don't think I need this. I like the hints idea, but I don't know. Am I alone on that? I haven't heard anyone talk about this yet, so I don't know if I'm kind of on an island on this one.
So it's not that I'm digging it. I think there's two minds you could take from it, of like even the elephant. I do think there's a few things that are the elephant, the multiplayer, that are almost a bit more kid-centric, not in the sense that, oh, adults can't play this game, but a bit more gimmicky that way, where, okay, whether it be hints and this character. So there's that side. And then the other side is, I don't know if I like it, but I think it just fits with, if we're playing this kind of, like I said, acid trip version of a Mario 2D side-scrolling with this Wonder Flower. I think that helps introduce, and plus it kind of almost acts as like what Toad was in the past, and Toad's kind of evolved. He's kind of upgraded to a character now, right? He's not just a guy, he's not just a side buddy. So I think this is what he is like a side buddy, a hint. So we'll see what's like in the actual game. As long as it doesn't really stop any pace of the game, I'm fine with it. It is an odd choice, but I think I like it being an odd choice, because so far this seems like an odder game. So
maybe I'll see in the settings if I can put on Japanese voices, and then
that'd be awesome. Yeah,
sick ass Japanese voice from this flower. And I don't know what he's telling me, but like, I don't need this hint anyway. Kind of skip past it in that way. So the one thing they showed too is that there's some areas on the map. It looks like somewhat of a standard Mario map, but then they add some non-linearity where you'll go into, normally when you maybe walk into a new level, instead you're walking into a bit of an open area, and then you're controlling Mario in almost like a top-down way, and you can move around and go to different levels, and there's some bonus things you can do in there, and then you can kind of branch off and go in different directions. So I think that's all good stuff, just like shake up the formula of the map, make it a bit more intriguing. You can do some things out of order. That's a good way too, where they can put more challenging content earlier in the game, because they can make it optional and you can skip past it. And some of that stuff you have to unlock anyway with like the Wonder Flower power up, whatever that token currency is called. You'll have to buy some of those things anyway. So I think this is good. I don't think it's like reinventing the wheel or anything, but a nice like mini kind of iterative upgrade to the world map formula.
Yeah, it's something different because I don't think that's been the case in any Mario games, right? I think the only closest, it's not the same, but it's like 3D World. You could do that, right? Where that was kind of all over, just depending on your stars. So I feel like that's something where they're going, hey, we did this in a previous Mario game, not in this series, but let's take that as an advantage. So it doesn't change up much. I think we'll probably still go in an order and say, hey, we're going to do this section first, but maybe there's going to be some gates that they talk about, like this flower seed or whatever the heck it was called, right? And
the Wonder Seed, that's the one.
The Wonder Seed, yeah. Maybe there's 5 missions in an area, and one of them you need like 3 or 4. That's how it worked in 3D World. You go, okay, I'm going to cycle back and come to this later, whether it's difficulty or just something you got to unlock. So I think it's not reinvented wheel like you said, but it's, again, something new. And I feel like that's what they're trying to do with this is, okay, how can we bring as much new as possible to the old Mario format so it doesn't just feel like people go, it is just a Mario one. The people that aren't like myself that will just automatically buy it, will they just go, oh, yeah, I don't need that? Where they say, okay, this is something a little bit different. So. Yeah. And maybe more current day as well, too, a little bit.
yeah, because that was something like Kirby and the Forgotten Land had last year, of very much a map, like the whole map was kind of like this, and I thought it was good because then you could unlock these challenge missions, and some of them were really hard early on, but those are just like bonus things you could do to unlock stuff rather than progress the main story, right? So it works well. This game is probably the biggest roster of any 2D Mario game ever, with the exception of, I guess you could say, Mario Maker, because you could like input amiibos, so you could put hundreds in there. But yeah, you got Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yellow and Blue Toad as separate characters. Toadette.
2 Toads.
You have 4 Yoshis, red, light blue, green, and I wrote red twice. So there's a 4th color that
is it red, green, blue, yellow?
Yeah, yellow would be the last one there. And then you have Nabbit as well. And so the differentiation here is the Yoshis and Nabbit have slightly, or at least the Yoshis have a different moveset. And then the Yoshis and Nabbit can't take traditional damage. They can still fall in holes or lava. But that's essentially like the little brother controller. You give that to a kid or something like that, and that way they aren't going to just get hit by enemies and die all the time. But then you also have a limitation where Yoshis and Nabbit can't gain power-ups in any way, so there's like not like Fire Yoshi or... Yeah. I'm guessing the badges they can't use either, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think this is a decent idea. And then all the other characters have the same moveset. We'll talk about the badges a bit later on. But I really like having the variety of characters. And I was kind of thinking, like, man, couldn't they make like one Yoshi still take damage? So for the people who want to play as Yoshi but don't want like that little brother controller scheme, like they can still have a bit of both. And if you have 4 Yoshis anyway, why not? But maybe it gets confusing. So that might be one tiny criticism. But overall, I'm like so excited to have a huge bunch of characters to pick from.
Yeah, I agree. Is this the first time that oh god, why am I forgetting the character's name, the purple one that steals stuff? What is it?
Nabbit.
Nabbit. Is this the first time you could play as him?
Oh man, maybe because he's a later character too. Like I feel like he's maybe
just the Wii U era, right?
Yeah. So I doubt that he's been playable because like maybe like a Mario Kart on like the mobile game. Like that would be like the one place I could see him being. But otherwise, I think in a 2D platformer setting, I don't think he has. Maybe Mario Maker 2, of course, but who knows?
Yeah, and he hasn't been incorporated because he's a bit newer. He hasn't been like Mario Kart. He hasn't been Mario Party or anything. Not that he's a popular character, but or golf. So yeah, that's kind of fun to see him there. I agree that Yoshi switch up would be good. I'd also like I know they don't always fit the aesthetic, but I would really like if you took out one Yoshi and one Toad and maybe added Wario and Waluigi. I would like the other, because it's weird. Like it's weird that they only come in for the sports game, and then for some of these main titled ones are kind of offside. Obviously, Wario does get the upgrade when we get to Smash, but
has Waluigi ever even been in a platformer before?
I feel like he has to be probably one Game Boy one, I bet, somewhere, right? I guarantee you maybe he's popped up there, but I don't even think so, because he wasn't even introduced until like N64 era, right? So and there wasn't really any on the Game Boy Advance, which would be a good place for it. And I feel like he'd perfectly have the flutter kick that Yoshi has. So Wario gives some good butt bombs. You like the drill. So
I mean, Wario has been all around in the platformer world, so they should bring him in.
Well, you have been able to play as Birdo, I think, on one of these things, right? So it's this thing where where I would like them in the future to put them in there. I don't think you need multiple Toads. I don't think you need that many Yoshis. I think if you literally had green Yoshi and blue Yoshi, green Yoshi's the adult Yoshi and blue Yoshi's the learner Yoshi, that'd be perfect. But But on the flip side, I do like that aspect because it's tough because the kids are going to want to play as the other characters, so we will give them their chances. And I do like that there is they brought back like the way there was the bubble in the old game. This is like a ghost when your character dies, so that's great. The kids, it's just going to be a lot of me and Emily caring while these kids probably die, but their death toll is going to go down greatly when they play as Yoshi and Nobbit or whatever. I'm going to forget his name 10 times.
Nabbit, but I like Nobbit too.
Yeah, Nobbit is his brother. Yeah, he didn't make the cut, but I think that's a very fun, like accessible thing to do for families, people that are learning. Especially you got me and Gwen and Logan. That Gwen's 6 and Logan's 4, obviously 2 years gauge gap. So even stuff like we start, and we'll talk about this on another side quest. Like we started to play Lego Star Wars. We bought a new Xbox controller, but I even forgot that. Oh man, I forgot you got that camera on there, and that's even something now Gwen's trying. Like that's a whole new world. We haven't played games like that. It's like, oh right, like that's where it's like, oh, you might not be ready for this yet. Like that's like another step up. So I think this is great where that doesn't make it too age limiting. So, and again, they fall. I'm just curious. I couldn't remember from the old games if you run out of lives, do you always come back at a ghost, or do you eventually, if you get to 0, are you dead? That's what we're gonna have to see because I couldn't remember for the life of me.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be fairly casual in that way. Where I think you'll be good as long as you get hit. As long as you hit the ghost, I think you'll be good.
Yeah, as long as there's an adult there to bring him back. But so I think that's really cool. Roster's cool, and I did like we talked about this when the game was revealed. We thought it'd be figurative, or we figured it would happen. But I love seeing all the elephant designs for all the other characters. So I think that was a good time. And with Yoshi, I love that update where you can ride on Yoshi the whole time, and you can even have Yoshi ride on Yoshi. So lots of little fun, cute things here. But yeah, good roster. Maybe some other characters I'd like, but overall I can't complain because most of the time I'm just prepared to play as Mario and Luigi in this game. So anybody else is kind of
who's your main gonna be? Who do you think you're gonna play first?
I think it's probably the brothers. I really do. I'm not like maybe Peach. I'm not really a big Toad fan, so I'm a Luigi guy. So as long as Emily gives me that, I think I'm Luigi all the way.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'm excited to play as Daisy because she doesn't usually get the light of day in these games either. She's been there once or twice. But yeah, her, Luigi, I do like a good Yoshi moveset too. They're fun. Of course, I want to try out the new powers, and the Yoshis can't, so I gotta limit that there. They showed off, of course, like some new worlds, a lot of the same, but a couple new sort of slightly different ones than you're used to. I don't know if we really need to break those down. And then some of the enemies, like there's one that jumps when you jump, and I think that's a fun little gimmick. Yeah. But the one that I really, really liked was the mummy, who has kind of like almost like a string that you can pull on the back, and then it kind of unravels him, and that makes him not as tall, because if he is his default thing, you're not really able to jump over him. So I thought that was a very clever, and like that just seems like fun. I'm going to try and always, like that animation is so satisfying that I'm just always going to hunt mummies down and rip that wrapping off. Really cool.
Yeah, there's some fun enemy types. There's some that are pretty much just like the what are the guys, the rocks with the drops of the faces? Why am I forgetting their name? I'm all over the map. The Thromps. There's like one of those, but they're in goo. So it's like there's a couple like we got new enemies, and some of them are okay. These are just kind of reskin a little bit different, but still, again, that works. It's a fresh coat of paint, and then there are some fun ones. Those jumping ones look like they're going to be a pain in the butt, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and then so for the transformations, we obviously knew about the elephant mode previously, and I don't know if I have too much to say on this one. Like it seems fun enough. You can like collect water and shoot water out, which seems like in like fire levels you can negate platforms that would normally damage you and things like this. So that one seems okay.
Your tank, you can go through all the blocks, remember? So that's good too. Yeah. You can run through that, so it's kind of good in those situations. So
we saw the bubble mode, which looks fun. It's just kind of like a similar but slightly different version of the fire flower, where you can shoot a projectile out, and it seems like almost a bit of the easy mode one, where you can like just destroy enemies instantly and through walls, and it will home in on them, and then you can also jump on top of it. So I like
you
that
make your own platforming.
Yeah, it's kind of like the glue gun in Prey. Like it's a bit of everything, so I'm into it. It seems really fun to use, if maybe a bit overpowered. I got to say too, Luigi's bubble aesthetic is so good. Like the pink. The pink and the green is like a really nice combo. So I feel like I'm just going to use it just to see that version of Luigi more often. I'm curious to see the other characters and what they look like when they have that mode on.
Yeah, I'm going to be spamming that bubble one. I feel like the bubble one is what you're going to want going into some hard maps. If you're going into this thing sucks, because the bubble one looks very versatile. So yeah, I'm going to be looking out for those bubble ones, or I'm going to be storing them a lot too, just for those rainy days. So
yeah, that was something that seems new to me. So obviously in other Mario games you could store a power up and then call it down at any point, but it seems like now you can kind of store one, have one, and then like switch back and forth if you want. So I don't know if they've ever done that before, but I think that's a nice little addition that makes, because that happens all the time where it's like, oh man, I just got rid of my fire flower and then there's some obstacle up here that kind of requires it, and that can be a bit frustrating. I was like, I got to replay this level over and over again. But I like the idea that you can kind of come in with multiple powers. I don't know how that works too with multiplayer. Like if we come in the GV crew on the 24-hour stream, all 4 of us are in there. Could we have like all 8 power, like all these different power ups stored and like rip them out when we need to? Because if so, that would be pretty cool. Feel like the ultimate superpower there.
Yeah, I think the only thing you do in the past is just store them, and that was it. But now, and then when they would drop, that's it. You have to go with that one, and that's it. But I do love that swap. Again, just little changes. I think that's cool. So yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do with those.
Yeah, and then the drill mode was the other new one
yeah.
that we saw here, where you can, any enemy that would attack you from above will just instantly get destroyed, or you could jump into an enemy, and then you can drill, you can burrow into the ground or burrow into the roof as well. So this one seems pretty cool. It seems pretty fun. Seems very useful to get to secret areas and whatnot. And
objects falling on you can block too as well. There's certain ones
anything,
that it just kind of kicks it. So that'll be a good one to maybe slap on the kids as well for us. Like, here, take these hats because you're gonna avoid some damage here. I guess if you're Yoshi and everyone's, but if they want to play as Daisy or Peach, we'll probably get them on the drill hat and stuff. And I like it's just like a little stuff, but I like that you have the drill hat and you have like almost like a little bit more hair of Mario sticking out with his ears, so it's like a little bit of a different aesthetically. Like, oh, what's under there? Like on a seat, because we rarely see just Mario's hair, right? So, I was I think that was like my least interesting one, but I like them all because same thing like Bowser. How many more items can you think of? I imagine it's kind of tough at this point. Like, okay, what can we have Mario wear and do this time? So
exactly. And then we got to see a little bit more of the Wonder Flower, which is something that highlighted quite a lot in the first initial trailer for this game. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it's essentially like, okay, in this level, you hit a Wonder Flower, you'll start tripping a little bit, and you'll do some little mini game sequence. I feel like it might just be kind of easy, so hopefully the spectacle of it outweighs the fact that it maybe won't be as mechanically interesting, but maybe I'm wrong about that. So it's not something that necessarily excites me, but like, it's a little bit more variety. You get to be some freak. You get to be like a spike ball or play as be a spike ball or be a Goomba for a bit. You get to be extra weird, even more weird than being an elephant or bubble mode or anything like that. So seems decent. Obviously, it's kind of what the namesake of this thing is, and it will give you once again a bonus wonder seed that you can use for who knows what.
Yeah, the two things for me that works is, one, it's going to be fun to when we play with the kids and hit those, because I think that'll just be a good time. But like, I don't know why, I just liked all the stuff of like, oh, how you walk is inverted and you're walking on the walls, or you got to jump on these bubbles, or you become a bubble. I thought they're all great, fun, sometimes stupid things. Were like, you know what, these are enjoyable. Now I don't know how they will be on a replay value, right? Like once you've played one, definitely. Are you done with? So I think all of them will be fun to play the first one, and it depends how spaced up. Like, does every level have a wonder thing? Does every world have a couple? That's what I'm interested to see, because if every level has one, then I could see, okay, this could get a little tiresome, other than with the kids, because the kids that'll always be fun when they hit them and, oh man, what's going on every time, and they're not like us that can take in the video game, so that it's going to be, replaying again for them will be almost like a first time, whereas me, like, okay, I'm a bubble again, here we go, so it
seems like for some of them, maybe you can like skip right past them, like it's like a bonus area.
Yes.
So and that seemed, once again, like when I was watching this, I was getting a lot of familiarities of different Kirby games, and Kirby's Return to Dreamland, like that remaster came out on the Switch earlier this year that me and Muds played through, and that had a very similar thing too, where you could go into that secret realm and you would be like some very different gimmicky version of Kirby, but then it's like, it's not super fun for anyone who isn't player one, so it's a bit weird, but then like you don't really need to do those again, assuming you got the reward out of it the first time. So when you're replaying the levels, it doesn't necessarily have to be tedious, and then if you're just really like it, you want to be that spiky ball again, then sure, why not, go for it.
Well, and that's just almost like a play on like the original Mario games. You'd have like a secret tube, or like you'd go up to the roof and then get in a cloud and then it takes you somewhere else, whether that takes you to a different world or just takes you another section. A lot of times we were replaying, you're like, I don't need to do that because I already hit that green rushy or whatever it is, right? Or you already know. So I feel like it's kind of that, where instead of a tube and instead of a leaf, Jack Beanstalk all the way up, this is it. So you experience, and then if you play again, okay, I don't need these coins, don't need to do that again. So it's similar as that, but again, just a new coat of paint. So
yeah. The badges. This is a big thing. This is very different and new for Mario. Essentially, you'll get these badges. You can unlock them from completing certain challenges, certain missions, or you can buy them with in-game currencies, and then you can equip one badge at a time, and this will give you some bonus, and then each level you can like cycle it and change to a different one if you want. Unclear how this works in co-op for me. I don't know if each player gets to select their own, or if you're selecting one for the group and then everyone has that same one. But there was a ton of these, and there was also a ton of question mark blocks like on the UI for it. So I'm sure there's a lot more. It seems like there's kind of different tiers where like these ones will affect your character in some way. These ones will give you kind of coins or help you find specials. And then there was another section that I'm not really sure what they are exactly. So I think there's maybe they're transformation based things. I don't really know. So curious to see what those are. But just to rifle off what some of these things are. There's the parachute cap, so you can essentially have a parachute. You're floating down more slowly when you're falling. You can do wall jump, a crouching high jump, so you charge when you're crouching, and then you can do like a extra big jump. A dolphin quick kick, which is like an underwater boost. There's a timed high jump, so I think this is essentially like, you know how in every Mario game, like you do the 1, 2, 3 jump, and then the third jump, he does like a bunch of front flips and all that. It seems like it's kind of that, but it didn't specify if it was only 3 jumps or if you can just keep doing it
just
over
auto
and over
big
again.
jump. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious what that is. There's the floating high jump, which I think you just have a higher jump and then you float a little bit in the air there, which seems like maybe a little bit more of an easy mode sort of thing. There's a grappling vine. This one was my favorite, and where I'm like almost a bit disappointed, where I'm like, man, I wish I could have multiple of these because I feel like I always want the grappling vine on. This looks so satisfying to zip around maps really quickly. There is an item sensor, so you can find hidden things. There's one like a coin magnet, one that I think probably just gives you like double coins, more coins. There's an invisibility mode, so you can just be invisible at all times, so enemies can't see you, but then you also can't see exactly where you are. There's jet run, so you're just constantly like full speed going ahead. And then there's safety bounce. So if you're falling in lava or in a hole or something like that, you'll get an extra boost jump out of there. So that was just the ones that I think we saw here. Maybe I missed one or two. And then there seems to be, that was maybe half of them. So there's quite twice as many as that. So what do you think about this idea? How do you feel about the maybe limitation of one, or the fact that you can't just do some of these things by default? How are you feeling about the badges?
Yeah, if you can only do one per person, that'd be interesting because I think it would be fun, and I would imagine everybody could select a badge, but at the same time, is that too much for the game? I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like there's a lot of badges going on and different things, and like who knows? So we'll see. This is again very interesting. I applaud them for doing this. At first, I was like, I don't know, like the diehard Mario and me, like you got items and you already got badges. It's like, is this a bit of overload? Like, is there too much going on here? But you
don't
have
RPG
to.
now.
Yeah, you don't have
Who
to.
Who needs
have
Super Mario
them.
RPG? You got Wonder here.
Oh, I know, you got all these options you go down. So, but at the same time, it kind of gave me lots of big GoldenEye vibes. Big head mode, like Rainbow, like whatever all those modes were when it's like, oh, these are stupid and fun. I feel like I'll probably get a badge and try them out right away, but I feel like I'd be more inclined to play through just kind of regularly first and then maybe try a lot of these badges after the fact. But who knows? I'll probably lie though and say I'll get one and then right away be like, oh, what does this do? Because I don't know if I want to be I don't know if I want to be that jet run the whole time, right? And I feel like some maps that would hurt you. So that's the thing where
then also think about how tedious underwater levels can be, and the fact that there's just this one which allows you to boost around and just move like 3 times as fast underwater. Like, I feel like you'll be wanting to use that on your first playthrough.
No, and that's fair, and that's what I mean. So maybe when I get to this and start juggling them around more, maybe they will become more vital. And like I said, maybe too that there's some stuff like the Wonder things or even some of these maps where there's lots going on where you go, okay, like you said, even with the water, I need something like this. This would almost help. So it is kind of almost similar to like those other characters that can't get hurt. There's like another kind of add-on. Like, hey, this makes it like a little easier, more fun. Like the safety bounce, that's one of your multiple badges. Like, again, the girls will be getting all those safety bounces to keep them up one more time. But yeah, for me, I'm like excited to see speedrunners get the jet fast run and just see the most fast Mario games of all time now. So yeah, I
feel like speedrunners are going to use the grappling vine. I feel like that will be the true speedrunner tactic.
So yeah, for me, I'm not mixed on it. It's a pro for me because I think it's a good thing to add. I'm, like I said, interested to see what all the other ones are too, to see what you can do. So I think it's a good addition because it's also something you don't have to do, right? If you didn't want to play the badge, you don't have to. So that's what I like about. So no harm, no foul. And from what I saw, they look like fun, and that's why for me it might be a better on a second playthrough. Like, we're just messing around. What does this do? What does this do? Like, how does this work? So, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess where my trepidation comes in is that I just feel like some of these seems so essential to a Mario 2D platformer moveset. And so the fact that I can't have all of them on at the same time, or even if I could only have 2 or 3, something like a wall jump, that seems so essential. And I think I'm already going to be a bit disappointed that I can't just wall jump all the time by default. Especially when you factor in that one of them they talked about is the item sensor that helps you find secrets and bonuses and stuff. I feel like that one's gonna have to always be on, right? Because you're gonna want to find these things to make sure you're getting all those unlocks and whatnot. And so now that I can only have, if I put the item sensor on, I can't have any of the jumping ones. Like, why? Those are kind of different things. Maybe just limit it so you can only have one that affects your jump and one that affects this or that. I don't know if that gets too complicated for what Mario is. But yeah, there's that one. And then when I mentioned of like that timing triple jump thing, to me, that's such an essential part of Mario's moveset. And the fact that that's being almost taken away and then re-put back in as a badge, so there's limitation, kind of a bummer to me. So I'm curious to see how I feel. And obviously, if you had all these on, then it would probably seem a bit too overpowered and it would be really hard to balance and you would just be so crazy. You'd fly everywhere. It would be too easy. You'd have the safety bounce and the parachute, so you'd never die. So I understand there needs to be some limit there, but then I'm also like, okay, a couple of these should maybe just be part of every character's moveset. But then once again, the game is going to be built around this limitation. So hopefully when I'm playing it, I don't feel limited in that way. And there's enough other new things with these power-ups that, of course, there's enough intrigue there in just the general moveset. So
you think there's no triple jump at all?
I mean, if they put it in as a badge and it's a badge, why would you ever put that on if you could do that by default?
What if the badge is though every jump is your triple jump? So you know how you have to go boom, 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 like the 3 in a row? What if it's that your badge just makes it, the jump is automatically just the third jump and you're always doing those big jumps?
I have the video open on the side. I'm going to see if because they hovered over it, what the description was. So I'm going to see if I can find that real quick.
Okay. Because I agree with you. That's a staple that would be very odd to take out to me. That's not, doesn't make much sense. So.
Okay, I actually found it here in the video. So let me see. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Live on air.
What is the answer? Check out lots of good stuff on Geekverse next coming weeks. Starfield review, Ahsoka, newscasts, all that good stuff. Go vote, patrons. Halloween Retro's coming up. Spider-Man's coming up.
They hover over it briefly, but I can't find that exact moment. So remains to be seen. But
we'll circle back on the review. Yeah.
Hopefully, because it seems like you'll still have your second jump, but I think it said something like after the second jump. So I don't know I don't know if it's exactly the third one or if it's just like each jump, which you're never really going to have more than 3. I feel like the levels aren't designed in a way where it's so flat and
they're
there's not
so
enough
chaotic
that you can imagine that if you could just keep getting more and more height every time and eventually you could just glitch out the top of the level. That would be hilarious if that was a thing as well. So yeah, I'm a little cautiously curious about these badges, but some of them, like the grappling vine, I can understand that limitation, but I cannot wait to use that. That seems super fun. And some of them do. And yeah, I also generally not a big fan of water levels in Mario, and I can't wait to just speed run through them and not have to sit around for 10 hours.
You could even delay them too if you want with the choose your own adventures. Not that I don't know if that's healthy if you want to put all the water levels to the very end, but you could, be like, hey, I'm really not in the mood to do this level. Let's come back to it later,
Yes, exactly. Okay, and then I think really the last note for me here is just talking about some of the online features here. So let's start with this kind of Death Stranding inspired online.
Thank you. That's exactly what I thought of. Yeah.
Which of course Death Stranding is not the first game to do this kind of thing, but I think for me and you in particular, it really popularized this idea, which is that there are other players in the world that are kind of simultaneously there, but they kind of exist as ghosts. So you can see other players jumping around, doing certain things. If you die, you'll turn into a ghost. If you hit one of those other ghost players, then that will revive you. So that's the thing you can do. You can put standees down, which is essentially like a cardboard cutout of your character. And you could essentially give someone a hint, I guess, if it's like, this is a hard jump, so this is a hint to tell you it's a hard jump. I don't think it's going to be as useful.
It also saves people too. It also saves people too.
Your ghost can hit. I think that'll be the more helpful thing than necessarily the giving people hint. But you could also do something like, here's a secret here. So if someone doesn't have the sensor badge on, you could give them a hint that like, oh, down, if you use your dig power up right here, you'll find something hidden, and then you get likes on those standees, or in general it seems like you maybe get them if you revive a player, you'll get a thumb up or a heart. I forget.
Hearts.
They had a
Yeah,
fun
that's what
name
it
for
is.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of get those kudos, and who knows if that translates into some sort of currency there. But yeah, very funny to bring in a kind of Death Stranding inspired multiplayer experience. One thing that I thought was interesting is they kind of mentioned that when you use currency, I don't know if that was the heart currency or if this was just coins, you can get other standees in the game, but it seems like you can't pick which one you want. It seems like it's essentially a loot box where you just put in this currency and you just get a random standee, and it seems like each character has like 10 to 12, and so for each character multiply that by how many characters there is, a lot of potential ones to get there. So if that's actually the case and it's just random and you can't like pick, oh, I want this one so I can do this specific signal, don't know how I feel about that. It seems like kind of weird, but at the end of the day, like this is all cherry on the top sort of stuff for me, and I don't know how much I'll really utilize some of these mechanics anyway. I think the standees I'll probably use to some extent, but I don't know if I'll be as motivated as I was in Death Stranding to like be helpful for the community.
Yeah.
So yeah, how much do you think you're going to use the online this online feature? We'll talk about the actual like online with friends afterwards.
Oh, this feature very unlikely. I like I did it a little bit more Death Stranding because I don't know. There's just something more with that world where there'd be times where I'd feel really bad if someone's crossed this area. Like there's some awful stuff, and that almost made sense because obviously the rest of them were playing as oh god, why am I forgetting Norman Reedus' character there in the game?
Sam Porter Bridges.
Yeah, Sam Porter Bridgers or whatever his name is. Sam. Like you could headcanon that the rest of these people aren't Sam, right? They're just a bunch of other packaged people out there, and you're just trying to help each other. And that to me, it's so moving. It's it's just a different type. That atmosphere created that sort of environment where I go, oh, I'd maybe like do that. That's not for me in Mario. I will appreciate all the people that will put those ghosts down or the standings for my ghost to pop, but yeah, I don't think I will be doing that aspect too much of it, to be honest.
Yeah. The other thing I missed too is you can gift items to other players through the ghosts, so that could be potentially useful too. But yeah, I'm curious how much people utilize that stuff because I just don't know what the reward will be to gain hearts and be helpful in that way. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Travis, I found the text for this timed high jump one. So it says time consecutive jumps just right to jump higher than usual. You'll even jump high on sand. So it doesn't say anything about a third jump.
Just as the usual, right?
Yeah, and in theory, it's like I guess the second jump is then higher than your first one, and it doesn't say there's any sort of limit. So it's very basic text. So it's hard for us to gauge too much on it. And then I don't even know if the jump high on sand, does that just mean like it has a random other passive where you're better on sand, or does that mean specifically
I think so
in like the consecutive jumps?
I feel like it'd just be sand in general, because sand obviously that can be quite a nightmare if you get the right spot or wrong spots. So that just kind of says, hey, if you come to sand, you might have a little bit better there. So
so we'll keep an eye on that. And then for the online with friends, there's a couple cool things here. One that I really like, but I probably won't end up using, is you can essentially make a party with your crew, or maybe you can make a little maybe make a group that is persistent between sessions, and then you can go into this other little part of the UI, and you can see where everyone in that group is, like what level they're on, and you can kind of just opt to jump in at any point. And I think it's cool that you can have a bit of this overlay where it just shows you like, here's where all your friends are currently at this time. You can jump in, maybe help them out with a hard level, or jump in there to mess with them. I don't think you can really mess with people too much, but I guess you could just like jump right by them and
I'm banning you as a Nintendo friend if you're coming to my level to mess with me,
Yeah. So that seems really cool. I just feel like it's one of those things that even if me, you, and the rest of GV crew make this group, it's not something we would actually end up in the same way we're so hyped about Mario Strikers and getting into that online and getting so competitive with the seasons. And then when it finally launched, we're like, yeah, we still like this game, but like we're not really actually gonna do this feature. It just is like cool and all. So yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna use that, but I think for certain people, I think that's going to be huge. And for like certain Discord communities, I think they're going to love that feature, and it seems pretty robust. And so I'm happy for those people, even if it's not helpful for me.
One, I'll say Strikers in a multiverse where all four of us could play together at the same time. I think that would have been much different, because that was what we were hyped on.
That was a big limitation.
Us as a unit taking people down.
But I also think we had the idea of like, okay, we're going to make our clan, and then we are going to just all like go in our own time and like get our rank up, and we're going to get like a really high in the leaderboard. I feel like we had that idea, and obviously, the multiplayer aspect kind of screwed us on it. But just in general, we didn't even feel like that motivation to make our group better. But
no, but yeah, it's a fun idea as far as I think I'm with you. I don't think I would do this. Like, unless someone in our Discord really wanted to start, but like, okay, sure, I'll jump in. But
Patreon night.
yeah. Like, I don't know about that. I think it'd just be better. Like, let's just link up together and go do a level. I don't think we need the whole room thing. But I think that is very cool. It's not, again, not a feature I'm saying this hurts the game. No, if anything, it makes other people's experience better. So absolutely put that in there. So.
Yeah, and then lastly, you can also initiate races against your friends, or you can do like not a boss rush, but a race to who can beat the boss the quickest sort of thing. That seems really cool. The fact that there's built-in races in the game that's a really, really cool feature. Once again, I'm not sure how much I will personally get use out of that, but I think there's a huge audience for that kind of thing, and it just works perfectly with that other online feature of seeing what your friends are up to. So I feel like usually Nintendo drops the ball on online functionality. And maybe they have here, because I think one limitation of this is I don't know how much you can really just actually do a 4-player co-op experience with your friends. It seems like you can jump in with a friend and be a ghost in their world, but you can't actually be like next to each other. So I guess that is the limitation. Of course, Nintendo can never quite get it quite right, but I think there's at least some cool ideas in here.
Yeah, it's something that I would only do if we got together and the ghosting thing. But if not, the ghosting kind of looked kind of annoying. And if I'm going to be honest here, of like these shadow players playing around. Yeah, it just didn't look like an enjoyable experience. Like I said, the only way I'd say is, okay, let's try this. But if you can't get all 4 of us together or 3 of us to play a match, like I'd rather just wait for a situation like the 24-hour stream. It's like we're all in the room together. Let's crank out an hour and a half of this, have some fun, go on some missions. Like I said, but I don't think it's a bad thing. And again, I think this is one of those games that is a couch co-op game, but at the same time, maybe it would be great. It'd probably get a lot more people hyped if you could do online, all 4 of you could play a map together, because there's people that probably live in different countries. Like, I know we would probably do that, right? But I'm less inclined to play with you online when you're just a ghost doing your own thing. We can save each other, which is cool. So it's like, if I was playing Mario, you were playing Mario, so sure, we could link up, but it's not like this is really, really fun, we have to do this. Or even at least with Strikers, we could link up and be in each other's same match. This is not that, but that's fine. It's not exactly the design of this game, so maybe in the future,
Anything else we didn't mention about this?
No, you went section by section. It looks good. I think as a direct, it presented really well. I think 15 minutes was the perfect amount. I think this is good. I see there's just a lot of positivity around this game. Nice. Obviously, it has a very tough release date, but I think Mario's big and it has a different fan base, and this has a different audience as well. So yeah, no, I'm just really excited. I don't need to see if I hear any more details about it. Great, but I really don't need to see anything else more. It already had me sold, but I'm even more sold now. I'm double sold. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I'm excited to talk about it on a side quest probably after Spider-Man, of course. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good time. Like I said, I am excited for a 24-hour stream and that is a good game too. That if when we have our significant others over, and obviously it's different for you and me because they play Mario, but someone like Amanda who doesn't play a bunch of video games, Mario's always an easy hey, grab a controller and let's play for a bit. Like Mario. Constantly for years has always been, as long as you have someone to give you a little help, you can help around, or someone that hasn't played it, like even Madison, she's not a big gamer or something, so it's just that's where it's that's a game we could still bust out with everybody around and have a good time and watch people screw up and say okay, let me show you how it's done, I'm gonna do it this time, so that's where I'm looking forward to that stuff a lot, and I think it's a good time to come out. So yeah, I'm excited for another Mario 2D game.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Travis, thank you for joining me. We are now less than an hour from Starfield, so I'm going to make sure that there's no update that I need to queue beforehand. Of course, I did my pre-download. I'm probably going to
expect a text from me being like, how do you do this? Because I always do it with Midnight Suns. It's I'm not finding this, Yeah.
I'm probably going to try and, do some early prep for dinner here so that I'm really good to go and kind of maximize my hours tonight. But yes, everyone, join us again in a few days here. You just got to subscribe because we don't know exactly when it's going to go up. Just as soon as we feel ready to talk about the game, we will. So thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you in just a few days for some Starfield talk. See ya.